All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the end. It was an interesting postseason, but we have crowned a champion. Congratulations to the Golden State Warriors for winning the NBA championship. Congratulations to Steph Curry for finally getting his first ever Finals MVP. Finally, that narrative can die. Curry has a Finals MVP. He is now a two-time NBA MVP, a four-time NBA champion, and a one-time Finals MVP player. His legacy was cemented before, but it is definitely cemented now. There are definitely conversations that need to be had as to whether or not Steph Curry deserves to be a top 10 player of all time. Between him and Magic, we have to come to a decision. We may have to open up a debate about who's the greatest point guard in NBA history, because Curry's right there at this point. After everything he's accomplished in this league, he's right there. So, yeah, congratulations to the Warriors for a great season. But with the season ending, we must move on. How was the season? Well, for me as a Miami Heat fan, the season did not end the way we wanted it to, but it was still a great season. Coming off of last year's embarrassing loss in the first round against the Milwaukee Bucks, we were ready to prove ourselves. Everyone doubted us, but we were coming off of injuries from that finals last year. We were never healthy throughout the regular season, and we ended up getting swept by the Bucks. So coming into this year, we were more healthier, we had something to prove, and we believed we can get to the NBA Finals and win the championship. I thought we had a great shot to do it, and I believed in my team. We got the number one seed in the Eastern Conference, and the minute we entered the playoffs, my initial thought was we are going to play the Boston Celtics in the Eastern Conference Finals. It will go to 7 games, and Miami has to find a way to win that game 7. That was my initial thought when we made the playoffs. Unfortunately, everything played out exactly how I expected it to, except for the Miami Heat winning that game 7. It came down to one shot, and our best player in Jimmy Butler was not able to hit that. If Jimmy Butler hits the 3, the Miami Heat are in the NBA Finals. He didn't hit the shot, so we didn't make the Finals. It's a tough end to our season, but we'll be back. Pat Riley will be adding to this team. They'll probably go out and look to add another player. Maybe Donovan Mitchell, but they'll be looking to add another player. They'll be looking to mix up this roster, and trust me, they'll be back next year even better than they were this year. Jimmy Butler is hungry to get to an NBA Finals again and win himself an NBA title, and I believe we have an opportunity to do it here. But, we just need to add some pieces. Overall, I think the season was interesting for some. I mean, if your team was in the playoffs, it was somewhat interesting. Minnesota was just happy to be there in the first place, so good on them. Golden State was looking to prove themselves, looking to prove that the dynasty's still alive, and they proved it. Memphis was looking to do something as well. Unfortunately, their season ended not the way they wanted it to, because they lost their best player and didn't have him for the final 2 games. Milwaukee was looking to repeat, didn't end the way they wanted it to. They lost in the game 7. Phoenix was probably the biggest embarrassment out of all of them. Out of all the teams that lost, I gotta look at the Phoenix Suns and say that game 7 was one of the most embarrassing losses in NBA history. Then again, if we look at the team, if we look between two teams who should be more embarrassed, the Suns or the Nets, some might say the Brooklyn Nets. Their season did not go the way they wanted it to. At the start of the season, they had Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant, and James Harden. Going into the playoffs, they had Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, and nobody, because Ben Simmons did not play. So the playoffs didn't go the way the Nets wanted it to go. They thought they could at least beat the Nets. Maybe if they can get past, not beat the Nets, beat the Celtics. They thought if they could at least get past the Celtics, they would have a chance to go on a run. Unfortunately, they got swept. So the season didn't go the way they wanted it to. Other than that, it was some interesting moments in the playoffs. Utah right now is trying to figure out what they're going to do, what's their future. They have to choose between Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert, so good luck with that. And for the teams that didn't make it, obviously the Lakers, this was a disappointing season. It was a stressful season, probably one of the most stressful seasons any Lakers fan has had to deal with, because, oh my God, everything was wrong with that team. Injuries, just not good play on the court, the whole Russ situation, it was just frustrating. And it wasn't all Russ's fault, but determining how much Russ should get blamed was one of the most frustrating things Lakers had to deal with, because anytime you attacked Russ, his fans were right there to defend him, and they will come after you with ferocity. So, yeah, that season for the Lakers was brutal for them. They're glad it's finally over. They're trying to figure the situation out. Now that Frank Vogel's gone, they've hired a new coach. They'll see where it goes. Clippers, honestly, this was just a year to just sit back, relax and just wait for Kawhi to come back. Once you get Kawhi back, sky's the limit. I think the Clippers have a really great chance to win a title when you have Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, especially with the pieces they've added onto this team. And Ty Lue's still a good coach, so they'll be fine next year. This year was kind of, if we can make the playoffs, we can make the playoffs, but without Kawhi, we're not going to win the title. Next year should be a determining factor for them, so we'll see what happens. Overall, this season was interesting. You had some interesting moments. Atlanta didn't live up to what they wanted to be. Cleveland ultimately kind of fizzled out in the end. New Orleans was a surprising team in the playoffs. I like the fight in them, and Zion is only getting healthier and getting back in shape, so hopefully they can get him back next year. Chicago was completely decimated with injuries, so they couldn't do anything. Hopefully they can get their guys back to 100% and they'll have a better chance to run it back. But overall, the season was interesting. The NBA draft is coming up soon. We'll see what happens there, but ultimately it is time to put an end to this season. So if I can find my hat. Wow, I actually cannot find my hat. That's very interesting. Okay, but it don't matter. I was going to wear, oh, it's right here. Okay, so it's time to put an end to the NBA season. We can put this down. Put this on. Get my Ravens cap. I got my Ravens jersey. I would wear it, but I'm not putting the mic down for this. But just know, with the NBA season coming to an end, it's time for the NFL to rise up. Now, of course, the NFL season is still not upon us. We have a whole month. Maybe, no, not a whole month. We have 6 weeks until training camp. So 6 weeks until training camp, and then the NFL season will really kick off. So yeah, we got 6 weeks of nothing because there's no basketball, there's no football. We just kind of just have to hang on, unless you don't watch baseball, unless you don't watch hockey, because the playoffs are going on right now for the Stanley Cup. So I mean, unless you're not watching those other sports, unless you're not a golf fan, unless you're not into tennis, unless you're not even into soccer, there's just nothing on right now. And again, I mean, I don't really want to watch soccer right now if Liverpool lost. You know, we're not here to talk about my problems. But yeah, you know, football is on the way. The NBA season has come to an end, and we are officially in the offseason. With that being said, that is pretty much all I got. Just wanted to recap the NBA season in a small video, you know. Just talk about some of the good we saw, some of the bad, some of the surprises we saw. There were some great moments, there were some bad moments, there were some frustrating moments. Obviously, the most frustrated fan base in the NBA this past year was the Lakers, because everyone expected them to be great and they didn't even come close to living up to that. Nothing but injuries, nothing but lack of communication, not having enough talent, a lot of problems left and right, and ultimately that season ended in a complete and utter failure. So I know Lakers are so glad that season is done. Now they got to figure out what's the next move for them. But yeah, you know, season was great. Really wish my team would have gotten to the NBA Finals, because had we lost in the Finals, I can live with that. I mean, I don't want to lose in the Finals. I would rather win. But if you get to the NBA Finals and you lose, you can just sit back and say, well, we gave it a shot. You know, Golden State's a dynasty. We gave it a shot. We took it as far as we could, and we just couldn't get it done. But, you know, Miami next year, hopefully they can get some great pieces. I kid you not, if Donovan Mitchell is the Miami Heat, we're winning the championship. I don't care what you got to tell me. We were one shot away from the NBA Finals without Donovan Mitchell on this team, while also having injuries, because Tyler Hero did not really play in Game 7, and he missed multiple games in that series. Not to mention Kyle Lowry was never in shape. Jimmy Butler was dealing with injuries. I can go on and on with this, but I'm just saying, we were one shot away from the NBA Finals. You add Donovan Mitchell to this team, that's a different conversation. But it doesn't just have to be Donovan Mitchell. There are several pieces you could add, and we'll see what happens with that. We'll see what Pat Riley's got cooking. But yeah, with that being said, the NBA season has officially come to an end. It's been a fun ride, and now I sit back and I patiently wait for football. But, you know, for these next 6 weeks, we're just going to sit back, chill out, and have fun on the channel. With that being said, that is all I've got. I appreciate you guys, and I'm out of here, man. Peace.